Conservators the right to run a cafe, please quote the relevant text from the legislation.
Well, that was already quoted in the reply to Mr. Redman's. Oh, sorry, we haven't got that one yet. Sorry, Mr. Redman's question, that comes next. We'll reply to that one in a moment, sorry.
Okay. In light of the public outcry, the petition, the Facebook group, and the Facebook group, are the Conservatives prepared to reach a compromise regarding their plans for the well and enter into discussions with Mr. Redman so that they can work together with him to improve the facilities for all? Can the Conservatives explain their public policy regarding this matter?
The Conservators' policy is quite clear. They're proceeding with legal process to terminate the tenancy.
I'm sorry, that doesn't answer the question.
Well, I'm sorry, it's the best answer I can give you at this moment.
Why have the Conservatives publicly criticised Mr. Redman's opening hours when he opens longer hours than required by the lease?
We are saying that the cafe should be available around the visitors' needs.
Sorry, I asked a specific question that does not relate to the question I just asked you.
Well, we understand that it doesn't open always around the visitors' needs. That's our answer.
Mr. Redman does open around visitors' needs. That's why he opens longer hours. I'm asking, why have the Conservatives publicly criticised Mr. Redman's opening hours if he opens longer
I'm
than he's
afraid we
required
have to say that the cafe should be available around visitors' needs. And these will all be brought very clear. I'm sure Mr. Redman knows the answers.
I'm sure he doesn't. How many
survey says that my hours are correct?
You paid for it. Well, we paid for it, I should say.
Can you get on with the questions, please? We have certain
I just like to
which
have
deal
some
with.
answers that actually relate to the questions. That's all. How many ecologists work for Conservatives?
The director has a biology degree as well as 34 years in countryside management. The full-time conservation officer has also had 10 years experience working for wildlife trusts and a conservation advisor ADAS. All staff working in the field have at least 2 NVQ level 2 competences, and the staff are advised by the government bodies such as Natural England, English Heritage, in addition to panels of wildlife specialists who advise on wildlife.
And I was just asking how many ecologists work for the Conservatives, not other people with other skills. I'm talking about ecologists.
You have the answer. It is there.
None. Okay. Do the Conservatives consider that the type of food served in the cafe lies within their mandate? If so, could they disclose the relevant legislation?
The message we are getting is that visitors to the cafe want simple, locally sourced, wholesome food of both vegetarian and other choices. In letting the contract for a manager, this will form the basis of all future provisions.
Again, I'd just like to make an objection that simply does not answer the question that was posed. Why don't the Conservatives fit electronic time locks and external security camera on the toilets like those at the Witch, rather than... well, I'll leave it at that as it's what the question is.
Well, we're happy to look at this. The Conservatives actually took on the refurbishment of all 3 toilets on the hills using their capital fund again. And they have excellent reports on their improvements, so we will look into this.
Okay. Why has there been no attempt to discuss any aspect of the plans directly with Mr. Redman today, given the amount of support in the community for him and his many years of experience managing the well?
I'm sorry, but we just can't go into issues surrounding the tenant at this time. It'll be dealt with through solicitors.
Dear, oh dear. Given that the Conservatives commissioned a report into the provision of transport for the elderly and disabled to the well in 2006, which stated that it is impractical on safety grounds, why has Beverly Nielsen stated in her letter that transport will be provided next month? Please provide a copy of the original report as it was commissioned.
The report that you referred to was for what was referred to as a Dotto train, which consists of a tractor cab and several carriages. The result of the risk assessment indicated that certain procedures needed to be in place for such a venture to be undertaken. We're looking into more practical types of vehicle, which doesn't need such a large turning circle to take people from the town to St Anne's Well. When we have a proposal that actually works and fits the purpose, then we'll bring it along to the public domain.
But we want a copy of the report that, our rates paid for, that was you commissioned in 2006. Why can't we see that?
There's no reason at all why you can't see it.
Well,
That's all right.
Simply,
if the report
you could
is
let us have a copy, I'd appreciate it.
everything we have is available to the public.
Good. Could we have the full accounts too? According to the 1999-2000 visitor survey prepared by the Heart of England Tourist Board for the Malvern Hills AONB Joint Advisory Committee, over 3/4, 78% of the respondents stated they had no intention of using any information centre whilst staying in the AONB. For those using information centres, majority 12% used the Tourist Information Centre. Can the Conservatives produce evidence to support that there is a requirement for a visitor centre at St Anne's Well?
The Conservatives have floated the idea of using the Octagon Room, which is a public building and it should be open to the public. What the public space is to be used for can be open to public consultation. The Conservatives favour information being available on geology, biology of the hills, and this may encourage more local schools to appreciate and enjoy the hills. There's no intention to try to provide an additional tourist information centre.
No, visitor centre, as it says on your website, visitor centre, not tourist information centre.
Not tourist information.
That was the question. Can the Conservatives produce evidence to support that there is a requirement for a visitor centre at St Anne's Well? I presume no. Again, I object because you're not answering the question. As a registered charity and levy charging authority, do the Conservatives agree that it is most appropriate that they invest their resources and energy in their core duties rather than fulfilling the aims and objectives of outside bodies when those aims are beyond the Conservatives' remit?
The primary purpose for the Malvern Hills Conservators will always be to manage the hills. However, that does not preclude, when the opportunity exists, to provide and invest in and realise the full potential of schemes such as St Anne's Well.
So we're talking about the objectives of outside bodies. That doesn't seem to answer the question again.
Well, I'm sorry, but that is the best answer you'll get tonight.
Yeah, seems it. Thank you.
And now it's Mr. Redman's turn. Mr. Redman, do you have a question?
Mr. Watson to read it out, if I could, please.
Yes, certainly.
Mr. Watson here, the Conservatives for my part. You're not here.
I'm here. I'm not Mr. Watson. Are you referring to me?
My question for me, please, as my representative.
I haven't got your question.
I'm sure they can provide you with a copy of it. You are my representative after all, and you're supposed to.
How am I your representative?
Are you not? Are you not? Well, who is in charge of Priory Ward? Sorry.
Sorry?
Who is the representative for Priory Ward?
I'm in the Priory Ward.
Okay, and that's my ward, so therefore you're my representative in the terms of the Conservatives. I'd like you to read out the question for me, please.
Mr. Chairman, has the gentleman had the courtesy to consult his representative? All these silly questions to me should be coming to us elected members, not wasting the board's time. That's what we're there for. Why don't you come and see us? You haven't even had the courtesy to tell him they wanted to read them out.
I tried to.
That's ridiculous.
Has the gentleman's representative?
Let's have order, please. I'm afraid we can't get into a discussion on this. Mr. Redman, it is your question. If you would please...
Can you read it out for me, please?
Please read your question. Or I'll read it out for you.
Yes, that'd be nice.
All right, so I'll read it out for you. In my view, it is far from clear that the Conservatives have any express power to operate a cafe at St Anne's Well. Please specify what legislative provision gives the Conservatives the power to run a cafe on their land. And the answer is, both the 1930 and the 1995 Malvern Hills Act recognise the need for Conservators to make provision for persons visiting the hills for recreation and enjoyment. There is nothing in the Act that prevents the Conservatives from running the cafe. They did employ a manager at St Anne's Well in the 1960s, and there is therefore precedent for what is now being considered. With regard to Malvern Hills Conservators being a registered charity, we have